Welcome to the Wild Crone Wisdom podcast with your host, Vinutha Mohan. In this episode, we explore the archetype of Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh and tools to heal this wounded energy. When, in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope. That's Shakespeare's Sonnet 29. Centuries ago, he captured the ache of feeling left out, unseen, and unlucky. And while the language is old, the feeling is timeless. Today, we talk a lot about FOMO, fear of missing out. And some of us have heard of JOMO, joy of missing out. But have you heard of SOMO, sad over missing out? Well, I learned about SOMO from the British psychologist Robert Holden, who works in the field of positive psychology and teaches the Enneagram. In my limited experience of working with clients, I find that SOMO is a very debilitating state that some clients suffer from. It tends to cause a lifetime of suffering and is very challenging to break this pattern. SOMO states belong to those that tend to be loners and are born into lament or mourning to be dramatic. SOMO often shows up in people who grow up feeling like outsiders. As children, they may have felt invisible, lost, unsure of their place in their family. They longed to be seen and recognized for their unique selves, but their aloofness often kept them disconnected. Many don't know how to ask for what they want or even recognize what they truly need. In fairy tales, SOMO state is best described in the story of Rapunzel, who is locked up in her own tower, a prison of her own making. She's a damsel in distress who is waiting for her knight to come and rescue her. In recent mythology, the archetype of Eeyore best describes people suffering from SOMO. The paradox of the SOMO state is that they want both to be unique and to experience oneness. This can leave them feeling stuck in the tension between the two desires. As they work so hard at their attempts to stand out and be unique, they end up using their original wound of separation to create connection, says Holden. They get so deeply identified with their sad, victim, and melancholic stories that very often they are unwilling to give up that identity because they don't know who they would be without it. This is best embodied by Eeyore in Winnie the Pooh. Sonnet 29 aptly describes the state of mind of the Eeyore archetype. Eeyore has made a home for himself in his melancholic state. In an attempt to be unique, not get lost in the crowd, not join the mass hypnosis of the herd, Eeyores place themselves outside of every constellation and feel like they are missing out. Their specialness comes from their own unique wound, which no one else will understand. The core issue is that they believe that they are the odd one out in creation, that their suffering is something personal and a special kind of misfortune. They do not believe in suffering as an impersonal human condition. Their belief is that I really am the odd one out in creation. If at all it is possible for one person to be kicked out of heaven, it's me. Unfortunately, such deeply held beliefs about their special victim status often prevent them from seeking help because How could any therapist, coach, doctor, healer ever understand their unique suffering? So deeply are they entrenched in their Eeyore personalities that they often believe that it is impossible for them to be happy in this lifetime. They become suspicious of happiness and happy people. To make it worse, they start questioning if it is even a goal worth pursuing because deep down, they are afraid that being happy will make them one of the herd and they will lose their unique Eeyore identity. This leads them to constantly be in the state of what Brene calls foreboding joy, a state of oscillating between rehearsing tragedy and perpetual disappointment. So, what is the way out of SOMO state? It begins with radical honesty, seeing this pattern in yourself and naming it. Then, understand this: you cannot manufacture uniqueness. The universe already expresses itself through you in a unique way. Next, remember that aloofness and connection don't mix. To truly connect, you have to give up the distance. Replace the need to be unique with the courage to be authentic. Instead of asking, why me? Ask, why not me? Instead of being absorbed in your own story, turn towards altruism. Fully inhabit this life, this body, this world. And finally, balance foreboding joy with a simple gratitude practice. Here's the beautiful part. Those who heal from SOMO often become extraordinary sources of compassion. Like the archetypes of the Black Madonna or Kuan Yin, they develop a deep capacity to hold others in their suffering because they know the terrain. Having been through their own healing journey and struggle with their own darkness, they develop enormous capacity for distress tolerance and exhibit such equanimity in the face of suffering and darkness of others. Thus, giving up their need to be unique in their melancholic stories and victim identities, they end up being a portal for the divine to express itself uniquely through them. And that's the ultimate transformation. Not escaping your story, but allowing it to shape you into someone who can help others find their way through darkness. Mission accomplished. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Wild Crone Wisdom with your host Vinutha Mohan. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist from the Bay Area, California, specializing in trauma and attachment repair. I'm also a certified EMDR specialist and a certified shamanic practitioner. In this podcast series, we delve into the journey of our spiritual essence having a human experience. While many social scientists study human emotions, thoughts, and behaviors, and others explore transcendental experiences, few bridge the gap to help embody the spiritual wisdom in everyday life. I call this the psycho-spiritual path. Through this podcast, I hope to share bite-sized practical insights for navigating life as an empowered sovereign being. If you found this episode valuable, we'd greatly appreciate your support. Please consider rating, reviewing, commenting, and subscribing on your podcast platform to help us reach a wider audience. You can explore more of my writings on Medium by following the link in the show notes. We'd also love to hear about your experience, so feel free to share your thoughts with us at wildcronewisdompodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for being part of our journey. Please be advised, the information provided in the Wild Crone Wisdom podcast is intended for general information purposes only. Vinutha Mohan is a licensed therapist and healer. However, the content shared in this podcast does not replace or constitute professional advice, therapy, or counseling. It is essential to consult with a qualified mental health professional for personalized guidance regarding your unique circumstances. Thank you.